Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for helping for another Med Talk session on my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, my name is Ransom Niamh. I'm a final year radiography student, medical writer, and also YouTuber. Today, I have an amazing personality, a UK medical student in our early stages of med school, but she has a lot to offer to the table. Um, hey, Dillon, could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, so nice to see everyone and welcome back to those in the channel. But for those who don't know me, I am Niamh. I am a UK medical student. I am currently in my foundation year, so a little bit different. Naturally, people go into their first year. Not me. I've taken a little bit of a different route in. So just doing literally an extra year. So instead of 5 years, just 6. But it kind of the bridges the gap between the final stages of compulsory education and next onto university. But what's really nice about the foundation year, it kind of first year throws you in the deep end. Foundation year kind of builds up your principles of anatomy and physiology, kind of building blocks way. And we do get experience, placements, and stuff like that. But yes, I'm in a foundation year. But a little bit about me. Uh, I think this episode is probably going to talk about everything that makes up my personality. But yeah, just a UK medical student, starting off, but starting to build kind of a networking profile on LinkedIn, Instagram, and we might talk about a little bit of my podcast today and just trying to get myself out there because it's such a competitive field to start with. So just trying to get my foot in the door, just trying to take those steps. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Amazing. Dylan, thank you so much for introducing yourself. So we have a couple of questions for you to answer. So the first question for you is, all right, just tell us, all right, what really inspired you to pursue medicine, and how has your journey been so far as a first year medical student?
Yeah, so I think it's a classic question to ask somebody why they want to do medicine. I don't know about you, but we had an interview into medical school, and it's one of the questions you prepare for. So I'm not going to give my structured interview answer. I'm going to give my real, true answer. And really, it's just people. I'm quite extroverted naturally, so I always wanted to work with people, regardless of what avenue that was in. And so, as you start to work for school, you kind of get an enjoyment for science. But what I really liked about science is being hands-on. I thought it was the only subject at school that I felt I could be really hands-on in a different aspect, like you have like sports and stuff like that. But this was the way that I could get involved and have an impact. And what I really like is obviously we have the NHS over here, and it's such a privilege to have such an amazing system, and it offers so many roles. So once I knew that science and healthcare was kind of for me, you can pop onto their website, look at all the jobs that are offering. And I was quite lucky to be quite motivated in the sense that academically, I didn't mind putting in the hours to study. I quite liked the idea of learning, which kind of correlates with being a doctor anyway, because it's lifelong learning. You're forever learning. And especially if you're going to research, there's so many things out there that we haven't even got yet beyond what we already know. So I think what really stood out for medicine for me was the avenues and kind of the variety and the extent that it can go. It takes kind of this little bit of science knowledge and enjoyment that you take at the start, and it just blows it out of proportion. And I almost like taking that, putting it with the people part, and it just makes me together as a person kind of wanting to be a doctor. So it just felt natural and right for me. And I had a bit of work experience originally in like kind of dentistry and kind of becoming a dentist. And I really didn't enjoy that, despite being the kind of placement part against people. But it was kind of the dentistry part that I didn't like. So I was like, okay, let's look at a different avenue. And then I had some work experience in radiology, funnily enough. And I really took a liking to it. I got to see an MRI scan, I got to see x-rays, I got to speak with radiologists and radiographers. And I was like, yeah, I'm really liking this. And you know, when you just kind of get that gut feeling, you're just like, yeah, okay, that's for me. And so I thought, right, there it is. This is the part for me. And knowing that I actually liked studying and liked the learning, I was like, right, okay. I looked at how long the course was. Some people get scared. I was like, oh, 5 years of education. That's like another 5 years things to know. So I wasn't put away from that. I kind of liked that. So kind of got pushed forward towards it. And here we are. I think I could probably go on forever about why I wanted to do medicine, but it just felt like the place for me. And now that I'm here, I'm just like, wow, like it definitely is the place for me. And I'm spoiled for choice with things to go and do and opportunities to go and get. And yeah, so that's why I wanted to go into medicine, if I had to give like a summary. But how life is as a first year so far, it's really exciting. And especially being on the foundation year, I'm not thrown in the deep end. So I can actually enjoy learning anatomy and instead of trying to just revise for a test. I am doing well academically. If anybody has any concerns, I am doing well at the moment, thankfully. But yeah, it's really exciting because yes, university offers that academic bit, but also the social aspect of well. I've met so many lovely people that I wouldn't have met if I hadn't gone to university. Definitely some lifelong friends in the future I can see. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying it and trying to make the most out of it because they say those years fly by. And yes, there is 6 of them, but I'm sure 2030 will come round and I'll be saying, oh, it was first year yesterday. So trying to make the most that I can out of it and really enjoying it so far.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Dillon, for talking us through about your journey. On what really inspired you to pursue medicine. On how your journey thus far has been for you. As a first year medical student. Like you're still in the early phases. It's a step one after the other because like you said you're really interested in radiology. That's my field, radiography. So I think it's because I had a medical student who was my friend. She said she wanted to do specialize in urology in the first. She was in the first year. That was a few years ago. Now she's a what's it called? She's a nephrology, doctor for the kidney. I don't know what made her to diverge her attention from being a urology to nephrology. And I'm so happy for her because you have a lot of placements in the future. You have a lot of clinical rotations you're gonna do in various specialties in medicine that will make you to say, "Hey, I want to go for this one. I want to go for that one." But I wish you all the best in your next 5 years. That's 2030, and yeah, I know you're gonna be a great doctor. Because your foundation is a little bit fertile at the moment because like you said about anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. These are courses that needs to get a hold of you. You don't just pass exams just like that. You need anatomy, the knowledge of anatomy to go. To make you succeed as well in medicine and other specialties in medicine as well. So, Dillon, thank you so much for talking us through about your journey. So the next question for you is, all right. So tell us more about your role as a mental scholar and a mentor
Yeah.
as well. Talk there.
Yeah, so the Mentalverse is kind of this platform for aspiring medical students. And then when you get into medical school, they also offer support there as well. So, yes, it's predominantly UK based, but it is also open to international students as well. So, I started with Medic Mentor around 2021, 2022. So, when I was just doing like my exams and stuff, I knew I wanted to become a doctor, but I knew nothing about becoming a doctor. So obviously over here we have to sit the UCAT exam, so the University Clinical Aptitude Test, which is just a trouble in itself. And so they kind of offer mentoring and support, both free and paid. So I also got the opportunity to go on their summer school as well, where they can help us write personal statements, kind of develop your skills as a person, which can help with your medical school application. And they are really accessible for widening access students like myself who might struggle to get access to support. And they kind of open doors for not only able to get into medical school, but once you're there, kind of opening the opportunities into the working world. So that's where the scholar and mentor come in. So I was actually a part of their medical society as their president. And then after that, once I'd gotten into Leicester, I kind of went on and applied to be a scholar there and a mentor. So now I help aspiring medical students with interview prep, UCAT prep, all that kind of support now that I'm almost behind the scenes at the Mentorverse. And being a scholar as well opens up so many doors. So I've been able to present at massive leadership conferences to other students, and I've had kind of leadership training and skills as well. And now there's some research opportunities opening. So Mentorverse is kind of all about support and networking, getting your name out there, opening the doors, and it's all just about having fun as well, making such a tough competitive process a lot more easier and fun. And I think it's definitely maybe put, as you were saying, like your friend changed her mind from neurology to nephrology. Like I originally was thinking maybe surgery and more hands-on work. And yes, maybe that's something I can explore, but I definitely have an idea that in the further future, I do want to go into clinical education at some point and kind of help teach other people, because it's made me realize I really like helping others and kind of teaching. Maybe it's just because I'm a massive talker and I like people, so who knows? But yeah, so the Mentorverse is an amazing platform, and I would suggest anyone goes to check it out because I wouldn't have got into medical school without them. They just offer unlimited support where they can. And yeah, being a scholar and a mentor, it's really fun. Obviously, it has opportunities for work, but also opportunities for growth as well. And so it's really fun, and I get to speak to people. Like if I'm from like one part of the UK, their part up here, down there, left, right, and we all come together in person as well to kind of celebrate events and stuff. So it's really nice to meet other like-minded people in your position and just know that you're never alone. So I think that's what's really important about the Mentorverse, and I'd recommend it to anyone who wants to check it out.
Amazing. It's great to hear that Mentiverse is a UK based platform for aspiring, medical students. But the most beautiful part of it is also it's open for international students in the UK, because I know there are a lot of international medical students from different countries. Nigeria, different countries in Africa, and also in Europe, North America, South America. Just watch this video. So you go and check out Metaverse if you're looking forward to connect with a lot of people. Because I did a lot of research on that amazing platform, and I noticed that it's if you're introverted, I don't think that platform is for you, because Metaverse is a combination of diversities where you get to meet people, make a lot of friends, and all that. So check out that platform. It's going to help you, in your personal growth, in your academic life, in medicine, and other courses as well. It mustn't be medicine. If you're an economic student, you can as well check out the platform, or you can as well refer to your other medical friends in medicine as well. So thank you so much, Dillon, for talking us through on your role, about your role as a metaverse scholar and also a mentor, tutoring upcoming, medical students, in terms of a series of aptitude tests you have to write before, venturing into medicine general. Because I know there are some exams that you have to write for entry into medicine in the UK, and it's not an easy exam if you're not prepared for it. If you don't have a tutor like Dillon, So if you're looking forward to writing some texts, in the UK especially, I think Dillon's there for you, willing to mentor you. She has the experience. She's behind the scenes, like she said, because she has passed that level. So she has more experience to offer you if you're looking forward to writing all those exams to moving to medicine as well. Thank you so much, Dylan, for telling us there about that. So the next question for you is, all right, tell us, as a mentor, how has your mentorship role shaped your own academic and personal growth? Talk us there.
Brilliant question. So I think there's two ways we can look at this. Yes, me being a mentor, but also having mentorship myself. I think what's really important is it's everyone's first time at life. Everyone has something to offer. And I think you might not have thought of something that one other person did, or they might have thought something that you didn't. And how better way to get those ideas that might just take you to the next level than talking to each other. And I think it's really important that everyone gets talking, because people are the people on the planet. They're the ones experiencing these things, and experience is what gets you far. When like you apply for a job and they're like, "What experience do you have?" Well, take other people's experience on board. That's what it's there for. And that's what I now try to do whilst being a mentor myself. And I think it's massively shaped my personal growth as well, getting more experience under my belt, but also my confidence. I'm speaking to people, large groups of people. I'm talking 200 plus people at one time in conferences, and both online and in person, because everyone's on Zoom, everyone's on these platforms nowadays. So it's really important to get as much experience in my belt, because in years to come, hopefully I'll be presenting like research conferences and presenting abstracts and stuff like that. So we never know who's going to be watching us, so we need to build our confidence up. And it's just made me feel like I can speak to you right now and listen, happy to go on YouTube and not be worried that I'm all shy and introverted, stuff like that. So it's grown my confidence massively, and I think definitely shaped me into a better person. So that's on personal growth. And on academic growth as well, through the Mentorverse, maybe, but through other platforms as well, I've managed to speak to people who are now like in their foundation years of training rather than medical school. So they've been through medical school, they're now practicing doctors, and they have supported on study resources and tests for when you have to go and practice as a doctor and stuff like that. And it's helped me academically because foundations are so important. If you don't understand the basics and the foundations, you can't level up. So I think mentorship really breaks, you can where somebody's coming from and they can break it down for you, and you can really start from zero and build yourself up on their level, and then you're like, okay, right, I'm ready to be a doctor. So mentorverse and mentorship is really important both academically and personally for confidence growth, both in both aspects, because your foundations and your base are built up from there. And what I think is really important is we can always learn from each other. And yeah, I would say that's probably the key takeaways from mentorship. And I wouldn't be who I am without mentorship, I would say. If people hadn't told me or reflected with me and kind of shown what I maybe need to do a little bit next time, but I'm doing really well at this, so make sure you focus on that. So different perspectives are so useful for changing your own. So I think that's really
Hmm.
important.
It's amazing to hear that Metaverse platforms has, added some amazing, you know, growth in your academic life, and also your personal growth in general. It's amazing to hear that. Do you think, that there are disadvantages in joining Metaverse? Do you think?
I don't think there is any disadvantage. I think there's a place for everyone in the mentorverse. I think even at the beginning, like when you go to the summer school, you're a bit like, oh, like, because you arrive on your own, but then within a day, like, you're making friends and you're speaking to like-minded people. I don't think there is any disadvantage, because even in moments where you are struggling or there is doubt, you are never alone. There has always been somebody in that same position. Like last year, the mentor course taught 9,000 people alone, and I was lucky enough to teach some of those people, and even in positions be part of that number, learning from different people. So I think there's always a place for you at the mentorverse, and there's always been somebody in that position before who can offer some form of reassurance or advice. So I wouldn't say this is a disadvantage. And hey, if you go and try it and you figure out it's not for you, that's totally okay. Not everything is for everyone, but why not give it a go first? Because you never know, it might just click and it might just be the thing for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Dylan. Um, your academic life is very important in medical school, and it's amazing that your mentorship role and also being a metaverse scholar is also adding some amazing features in your academic life, which is amazing to hear. Do metaverse offer materials that could help you in your study life in medicine? Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So while I was applying to medicine, they had a platform called Study Mentor, which I joined, which I got one-to-one tutoring support for my exams, which is really good. And and they're obviously always expanding. So the subjects right now are biology, chemistry, but they're ever trying to grow onto different kind of exam styles and different subjects. So anything can get put forward. If you're like, well, my subject's not being done, feel free to put the idea forward. Who knows? It might just become a reality. But now that I'm in medical school, because there are students from like years 0 to 6 at many different universities, obviously the medical curriculum might be taught slightly differently, but science is the same wherever you go, whether you're in England, whether you're in Spain, whether you're in France, all the same. So you can ask the
Yeah.
older years for their resources if they've already been through that. Or who knows, they might need some refreshing on the foundations that you get taught in the first few years, so you can share your resources. So everyone's there to share resources, but also, yes, some resources have been provided by the Mental Verse platform themselves, especially for kind of the exam when you're going from foundation training in the NHS to the wider world of work and whether you choose to specialise. Then there is an exam you have to sit to see where you get placed, and there are specific resources and training days for that, which is brilliant. So it's great that the metaverse is thinking so far into my future already, because I'm only at the start, but they're already thinking, right, how can we get you prepared and make sure you're feeling confident and you can get the job that you exactly want in the future. So yeah, it's really
Amazing.
good. They're thinking all the way from 0 to 6.
Amazing, amazing. It's incredible to hear that they offer some study materials, and also mentorship, mentoring on upcoming medical students, to groom themselves and passing exams and also studying to get grounded into you know subjects and courses in medicine as well. Thank you so much, Dylan, for talking us through about how your mentorship role shaped your own academic life, which is very important, and also your personal growth. Thank you so much, and I believe that the audience are really enticed on that initiative you offered right there. So we have three more questions to go for you. So the fourth question for you is, you talked about owning a podcast, right? Amazing. And so tell us, as a co-host and network legion, for the STEMinists, amazing Science and Sisterhood podcast, what are some key discussions or topics you're very passionate about, highlighting on this Metal chat? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Feminist Sciences and Sisterhood, if I'm going to do some shameless promo, you can find it on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And it was a little passion project that started about 1.5 years ago, just to highlight issues like you say. So these are issues like the challenges of being a woman in STEM, kind of what we are presented with, kind of the barriers that sometimes prevent women from going into the professions that they really want to be in, and then instead they're almost being persuaded elsewhere. Also, kind of the issues from any background as well. Obviously, we're science and sisterhood, but we're literally for everyone. We try and include male, female, he, she, they, whoever they are. You're invited to listen to our podcast. We hope there is some insight for you to share. Because yes, women in STEM struggle as well, but so do men and so do non-binary people and so do everyone. And there are always sadly challenges into STEM. So we try and highlight and make awareness to them. Obviously, we can't solve them in one day, but we hope that bringing kind of a light and shedding some information on it might get our viewers and listeners to think about it and then think, okay, where do I step into this role? Where do I fit in on helping make a difference and changing it and making those challenges opportunities instead? So what's really important about STEMinists is to show us three young women who are all in the STEM field, to show that it is possible that young women can get into STEM and that it is an enjoyable experience and we can make it happen. Because unfortunately there are some barriers, but we're trying to highlight those issues. We have had a few episodes come out as well with people who are practicing doctors now as well, who kind of showcase the struggles maybe with the NHS at the minute or getting into specialising training because it's such a competitive field. But also under the name STEMinists, we're not just all medics. One of our co-hosts is a psychologist and she wants to be a clinical paediatric psychologist in the future. So we've had assistant psychologists on and we've had health innovators on, and we're looking to get some people in the world of global health, public health, kind of even engineers, kind of people who work for NASA and stuff like that. We're all exploring all these different avenues because there is so much to the world of STEM. It's 4 letters for a reason, and we want to showcase as much as we can because if you're maybe unaware of kind of the different avenues, you might just miss the opportunity that just might be for you. So we want to open doors and kind of get people listening and make themselves aware, and they might just go, that's just for me. And then they kind of create a platform with Feminists where they can reach out to us and we can put other people in contact. And that was my job as a network liaison. Yes, I get guests on, but I also pass out that information to our viewers as well because they might obviously get a bit of advice from what they're listening to, but they might have more questions that they can ask one on one. And my job is kind of directing them in that right direction. And I'm so grateful to have STEMinist as a passion project because I've met so many people throughout it. And I've learned, it's like you talking to me, like your viewers are going to learn something from me. But when I have people on the podcast and sit and chat to them, I'm learning something as well as our listeners. So yeah, that's what we're really passionate about. We're trying to highlight more issues. Obviously, as one person, I have not experienced every issue that might come under being in the STEM field. So we try and kind of get on a diverse range of people who can talk about their own experiences and hoping that they can offer some form of relatability to our viewers in any way possible. So we're all about diversity, breaking down barriers, and kind of promoting opportunity to get into STEM and to kind of fight back from the barriers, break them down, and go, you know what, that's for me. So that's what feminist is about. That's what we stand for. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so the link to the podcast is going to be added to the YouTube description below. So if you wanted to, hear people share their journeys, women in STEM, you know, in different specialties, coming together to offer a narrative on a particular topic. So the link to the podcast and Spotify will be added to the YouTube description, like I stated before. So, Dillon, I want to ask a question before we move to the next question. Sorry, we the math students we're very curious sometimes. I want to know before joining, like this amazing platforms for women in STEM to join together. Are there prerequisites for someone to have like a knowledge in genomics, before joining that amazing platform? Or is it like any specialty can join that amazing platform?
Any special team can join our platform. We're open, our ears are wide and ready to listen to anything that anyone has to offer. We currently have a STEMinist ambassador program. So we're doing this to kind of let people feel that STEMinist is more accessible. So anyone is feel free to message anyone in the world who feels like they have some information brewing inside them that feel is really important to share with the world, whether it's a challenge or an opportunity, whatever it is, STEMinist is the platform for it. So yes, they are more than welcome. There is nothing standing in their way from them joining STEMinist. And yeah, we would love to hear what they have to offer.
Amazing. There's so many doctors gonna watch this video. So if you're interested to sharing some, especially in my country, Nigeria, we're faced with some shortages, in the healthcare sector. So you're willing to share, your journeys thus far, some things you think that people had to do, the government has to do, to improve the healthcare sector. I think you should as well reach out to Dillon either on LinkedIn or Instagram. Her details also be added to the YouTube description below. Like she said, that any specialty can join as well. All right, thank you so much for talking to Stereo, Dillon, about your on how your podcast is doing incredibly well, in discussing some key discussions or topics that you're really passionate about, and also the audience are really, enticed to hear, and also being a co-host in our network Legion for the Staminist, and it's amazing that you're doing this incredible thing for the audience to, get inspired and people coming together to, share the narrative and journeys in the various specialties, which is incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that journey for us.
Thank you.
So we have more questions to go. Okay, so the fifth question for you is, what motivated you to co-found Dillon Tutoring, and how do you balance running a tutoring service with your medical students? Because I know, even though you're in the first years, the early stage in medicine, it can be rigorous sometimes. It's your first time in that environment. You're trying like finding your balance and all that. How do you do that? Talk us through.
Yeah, absolutely. So what motivated me to start it was I am a medical student just trying to get by in university, and it allows me to use my previous qualifications for the greater good, kind of inspire other people, get other people to the standard that they want to do in their exams. And I'm very lucky to have done well in my exams, although it was hard work. I will admit I did work hard. I can use that to help other people be in the same position. That's what kind of motivated me to do it. Yes, there is a benefit. It does pay, but it's kind of the benefit at the end of the day is when they finish their exams or when they do a mock exam and they come and tell me, Niamh, I passed and I did this and I did this. And it's like, wow, so what I have learned to do does actually work. And that is always the best feeling. And especially when they like send you a Christmas card at the end of the year and they're like, thank you so much. It's always a nice feeling. But how I balance that alongside my studies. So there is actually a rule in medical school that, well, at least there is in the UK, that we're only allowed to work 10 hours a week. Now that does set a physical barrier in the way, kind of. I only work 9 hours a week through tutoring, so because I don't want to kind of overstep the 10-minute boundary, 10-hour barrier there. But how I balance it in kind of a self-care way, not just because I have to, I do sports, so I do dance, and I set out an hour a week where I don't do any tutoring, don't do any studies, and kind of use that as a reflection, a kind of step away, which is really nice. But also how I balance it is I did speak to this one doctor, I don't know if you would have heard him, Dr. Alex George in the UK, and he said, I asked him for some advice, and he was like, set boundaries. If you're going to do anything or take anything away from any doctor in medical school, is to set boundaries. So I set myself a boundary. I have a Saturday off, I have a Tuesday off, and I have kind of times in the day where I have days off. Like I'm like, that's it, cut myself off, no work then, because if your mind's going a million miles an hour trying to tutor and then you're trying to revise and then you're trying to do this, you're not going to be given 100% to each thing. So the way I balance my studies is by cutting myself off. Be brutal, say no, no more. Even when you know you really want to, go have a nap or go talk to some family and talk to some friends. You have to cut yourself off. So the way I balance that is cutting myself off 9 hours a week in strategic places. And the rest of the time is free or just for me. And set those boundaries for yourself, because if you don't, then you are going to get overwhelmed and then you won't be given 100% anyway. So it won't be worth it anyway. So you rather cut yourself off now, set the boundaries here, then it kind of grow and then turn into something potentially a little bit better. So yeah.
Amazing, amazing. These are amazing nuggets, Dillon. And thank you so much for sharing on how you set boundaries from what you heard and advice you got from an amazing personality. And this is also like a disclaimer to other medical students. You should have like supporting systems, mentors as well that you look up to, that you get advices from. Like Dylan said, she got advice from Dr. Alex Jones. I think I know him. If I don't, I'll do some researches on him. His amazing personality that told her that she set boundaries and all that, and she adhered to that. Nugget. And look at her now; she's balancing those equations, like tutoring and medical studies, and her medical studies, balancing those two, and also doing incredible things and other extracurricular activities as well. Amazing, amazing, Dylan. I think you're like you're setting an exemplary life for other inspiring medical students out there to follow your leads. You can do other things. You can do other things other than medicine. You can be in medicine, doing incredible things. For me, I'm a radiography final year student. I'm doing incredible things as well. Apart from my clinical rotations at different, diagnostic centers, I also have I'm a medical writer. I run websites for people. I write things, medical articles, blog articles for companies and personal clients as well. I also have a YouTube. It's incredible. You can have other interests. You can be a medical student and also have an online store. You could do anything that suits you. Medicine is never a barrier not to do other things as well. So, Dillian, thank you so much for talking to us on how what motivated you to co-found Dillian Tutoring, and it's amazing that you're having an amazing good feedbacks from people you've tutored in the past. So if you're an inspired medical student watching this video, looking for a tutor, especially in the UK, Dillon is an amazing personality because she has all the varieties to teach you because she has gone past that stage. So she can talk you through on the challenges and all that, on how to study, materials required for you to study to pass the exam. So she's incredible for you. She's an amazing personality to tutor you if you're looking for a tutor in your exam and all that. So the last question for you, Dylan, is, all right. So tell us, what advice would you give to aspiring medical students out there who want to make an impact through mentorship and community initiatives? What do you have to say? What advice do you have for them?
What a loaded question. So there are a few bits that I can give. I want to just touch quite lightly on what you literally just said, in the sense that it's really important at medical school not to just be a medical student, have other things. Do not let medicine be your personality. It's great that before going into medicine, when you're applying, you think that's what you want to do based on your personality. But once you're there, have academic life and have personal life. Yes, the two will cross over, as will your reflections of it, but make sure there is a wall in between, just so you can give 100% to both, which is really great. Another thing I would say is, particularly with kind of mentoring or mentorship, start by mentoring sideways and not just going down. So obviously I tutor, but I was with Medic Mentor before I tutored, and I built on my experience there. And even in just school or day-to-day life, mentor your friends, mentor your family, and kind of people who are on your level before you start going downwards, to help people who were you or were in your position and now are kind of wanting to be almost you. So just be mindful, build up your experience before you go any deeper. And I think reflection is always an important rule to remember. Think about, yes, what you need to improve on, but what you did well. Don't dwell on the negatives. Remember what you did well, and remember that you are putting the hard work in. So if the hard work goes in, the results do show. So do remember that. Also, remember you're never alone in any position. So there's always going to be somewhere for you, someone for you who can give you advice who've been where you've been before. I would say with community initiatives, kind of instead of just teaching, get on LinkedIn, get on Instagram, get on these places and build partnerships and networks with local organizations or schools or public platforms where you can gain that more experience, and then you can reflect on that as well. It's kind of like a cycle of advice, suggest. So that's really important. Well, and then you develop communication, leadership, all these key skills that will make you, who are all going to be brilliant doctors and whatever profession you decide to go into, which kind of elevates that a little bit more. On a different kind of note, some advice that I would give to anyone kind of going into the medical profession would to be, look after yourself. Self-care is so important. And if you're, let's say it's 11 o'clock at night, you've got a test the next day and you want to do some revision, choose the sleep over revision any day, because you're not going to remember it the next day. If you've just learned it the night before, it's not worth it. So go to sleep, take care of yourself, like I say again, so you can give 100% into what you're doing. So I think the key takeaways or advice that I've learned so far that I would give to you guys is mentor sideways, not down, look after yourself, get some sleep, and get experience under your belt, because you'd be surprised how much you can learn from the people around you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Dylan, for that amazing nuggets. And I believe that aspiring medical students have taken noted notes on that amazing advice. Thank you so much for your time. Dion is an amazing personality, very busy. For her to take time, to come up in this session, that means you have to give that time an enough focus to what she have to say. For her to have a lot of things on her schedule, she's very busy and she just wants to talk. Let's hear. So that's a more reason why you have to watch this session to the end. So if you love this content, do want to like, share, and subscribe. If you have questions, you can drop it on the YouTube comment section. Like I said, if you're wanting to connect with Dylan on LinkedIn and Instagram, and also have Spotify podcast. The links will be added to the YouTube description below. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dillon, for your time.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Ended